So today I'm supposed to be helping that asshole Mike Bannon with spawning a couple of refugees leaving the camp. And I say fuck that guy. That guy fuck my wife. Yes, I have him on the walkie-talkie now. I'm gonna say some fucked up shit to him. I'm gonna get him fucking killed because I fucking hate him. Hey Mike, you there? Yeah. Well, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to the west corridor, and there'll only be two guards. And when you see the two guards, don't worry. They know you already. You're gonna have to kill those two, okay? But you can only kill them with two poisonous darts because they got the best body armor in the world. And then after that, you have to hijack a helicopter and then fly it onto the plane. When you get it onto the plane, you get under and you go into the plane, and then you have to kill the pilot. After you kill the pilot, you have to land the plane. You'll land the plane in a war zone. And then that war zone will surround the airplane. But there are triggered explosives everywhere around, and then you just trigger the explosives, and boom, you get the cargo. The cargo is about 5 miles from where you will land, and you will have to get there probably without a gun, so you don't alert more senseless. Okay? Good luck. Ha! Yeah. Oh, they're gonna teach them to fuck my wife, huh? Yeah. Okay. He doesn't have a chance. He doesn't stand a chance, and I'm telling you, he's going to die. He's going to die. Yeah. What the fuck? Is he still going? He's doing all of this? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, shit.
Olympus Has Fallen is the third installment of the Fallen franchise or Fallen series. I don't know how in the hell this became a whole thing that we have to respect it as a brand, but here we are. So Olympus Has Fallen stars Gerard Butler. It is the third release of Lionsgate Films, and this is kind of a pleasant surprise. So let's get into this thing, why don't we? This thing is really not what you would expect. So you're going to go in here and you're going to say, oh, I'm going to see a mindless action flick. And honestly, you are. I'm not going to lie, you are. But what's mindless is the actual action. What's mindless sometimes is the actual cinematography. But this story isn't mindless. So the thing is that sometimes things can be held back by expectations. They can be unfairly judged by expectations. And that's what happened with this one as far as the critics. Now, this thing is a lot more delightful to the audience, which is really surprising. But there's a couple of good reasons for that. And that reason is, you guessed it, family. Movies are all about family. Stories are all about family. It's just something that you cannot resist about family. And the other ones, they didn't depend on this so much. And some people appreciated that and they hated it for the same reason. But not so much with this one. With this one, you kind of had to appreciate it. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, well, that was just cheap. And I agree. Sometimes that can be cheap. I felt like it was a lot cheaper with Hobbs and Shaw, where they would often shoehorn in family elements just to get us to care about these characters. But the thing about Hobbs and Shaw, those characters were a lot less believable. Gerard Butler was very believable, and I bought him. He was never being over the top. He never overacted or over-delivered. He was somebody who was actually worn down from all of the trauma of the previous movies. I love when stuff make that count. I loved it just as much in Iron Man 3. When something takes a toll on somebody, it doesn't feel like sequelitis. It doesn't feel like, oh, here we go, we're going through the ringer again. No, they're actually giving you consequences. They're actually giving you depth. So all of that adds to you giving meaning. Meaning should count for something, people. I can't believe that a lot of people are discounting that and acting like it means nothing. Honestly, with the mindless violence, it meant a lot more because it wasn't just mindless violence. You wanted your character to survive. And that's what it's always been about. It's always been the same way in Die Hard 2. So let's get to some of the performances in here. The acting was cool. It was a lot of throwaway acting, but I actually liked all of the characters. I liked the way they were written. I appreciate a good script. Now, I know I'll probably get laughed off most of the goddamn screens. I'll get laughed off most of the YouTube interfaces that I'm on right now when I say that this thing has a solid story. But it really has a solid story that stops it from falling apart. What happens is that you just go through the first act and you're like, I'm out. And if you check out, then that's cool. And that's how this thing can get as low as a 40% and ranked how it is. But if you actually just take a moment to buy it, then it's cool. And some of the unbelievable stunts that you see in this thing is going down, and some of the over the top reactions from the villains. But I did like the villains. I like the bad guys a lot in this one. I really like Gerard Butler in here. Hey, Morgan Freeman was cool. It was the best performance since the last time Morgan Freeman was Morgan Freeman. It wasn't bad. I had this whole thing where I thought I didn't like Nick Nolte. He ruined one of my favorite movies, Hulk. He ruined it. And then I was just like, why does he act so fucking weird? I can't buy him as a character. Well, I stole all that away. I was really impressed by him in this movie, and he is one of the best things about the movie. Some people would tell you the best thing about the movie, but I would argue with that vehemently, honestly. The writing could be funny, and it wasn't trying to be forcefully funny. It was just funny because you bought into these characters. When did character building stop counting for anything just because the action is a little over the top? Honestly, they peeled back as far as a lot of the action when you compare it to the first two installments. They saved a lot of that for the third act, try to make it count as a climax, and I love a climax. Why don't people give a shit about a climax anymore? If you wanted to nitpick some flaws in this one, I guess you can nitpick the fact that sometimes I did not like the cinematography. They shot this thing way too tight. I don't know. Were they out of the budget for lenses and shit? Did they spend too much money on explosives? I also didn't like the fantasy technology. I had this same problem with Hobbs and Shaw. I swear these two movies are cousins. But the technology will often be used as a deus ex machina. They just use this thing to get themselves out of jams. They use this thing to actually make the plot work. If somebody told me that they hated this movie because of the fantasy technology, I'd be all for it. But fantasy technology, it can be cool sometimes if you just buy the fact that you're watching a movie. So as I left 1,000,001 hints, this thing is really, really split down the middle when it comes down to critical reception. Did I say this thing is split down the middle? I meant I'm split down the middle. So this thing is sitting at a 40%. The audience has it at a 94%. Look at that. But the audience was kind of drunk on something. I don't know what the hell got them to rate this thing at 94. Do people realize that when more than 3,000 people vote on something, that most of those people was giving this thing 100%? What the fuck is wrong with people? I have this thing much lower at a modest 76 or 78%. So if you like action movies, do this one, man. It's going to give you a lot of extra stuff that you wasn't really expecting to buy when you purchased the ticket or when you press click when it actually gets to Netflix. Probably won't get to Netflix. It'll probably get to Hulu first. Or maybe Disney Plus. My name is Terrell. This has been a Better Late review on Angel Has Fallen. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Comment, man. Talk some movies with me. I love hearing other opinions. If you think this thing sucked, I want to know why. If you think it was great, hey, tell me that too. Maybe I'll mention it on the podcast. It's a movie podcast. It's good. It's cool. I don't know if it's good, I'm humble. See you on the next one.